I've gotten asked by a couple people today, including some text subscribers, about Joe Woods. If there's anything to be unhappy about last night, it was the defense wasn't great. They gave up a bunch of points. Lamar Jackson was kind of doing what Lamar Jackson does. I guess the bigger question here, and I'll just read what the text says. This is from Nick in Iowa. What are your guys' thoughts on Joe Woods this season? How can the Browns improve defensively towards the end of the season or for next season? And I go back and forth on this, honestly. I'm not sure if it's Joe Woods. I'm not sure if it's personnel and guys who have gotten hurt. I just don't know. I guess I don't know what I expect Joe Woods to do necessarily, because look, against Tennessee, he did a really nice job. Rolled out that 5-man front, contained Derrick Henry. Obviously the Titans got hot in the second half and scored a bunch of points, but I don't know. What do you guys think of the job Joe Woods has done, and what should our expectations be of him, considering what this team has?
When I look at what Joe has had to deal with this season, if you just take the game yesterday and you look at his sheet for who was supposed to be in the defensive backfield, it was supposed to be Grant Delpit and Ronnie Harrison and Greedy Williams and Denzel Ward. Not one of those guys was in that football game. So their depth is strained to the max. And, it's not always going to hold up when you get against these really good football teams and you get down into your second string guy and your third string guy and your fourth string guy. You're going to have some issues. And that's where they're at. I mean, they're playing, MJ Stewart and guys like that. So it's going to be tough to hold up. And we all know that they did not invest, they just did not invest heavily in the linebacking core this year. And I think that they will add some parts next year to that. But I think for the most part, I think he's doing pretty much the best he can with what he has had to work with this season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, the idea of well, is it personnel or is it Joe Woods? It's well, it's definitely personnel. Does anybody think it's not that? Who thinks that it's Joe Woods' fault? It's not. You're not blameless. But I mean, to Mary Kay's point, I mean, I think it's very possible that when you look at the Browns' back seven next year, that there's just nobody who played last night will be playing next year. I mean, is that too much to say? Because even the guy BJ Goodson's been healthy all year. He's not the answer at middle linebacker long-term. Andrew Zendejo's been playing every snap. He's not any kind of long-term. Even the guys who are playing, and Zendejo's playing more than he should because of the Delpit injury. But I mean, man, it's the same stuff we talked about all year. I just am surprised sometimes by how frustrated people still are with the defense while they're 9-4, while they're very injured, and while they clearly prioritized the offense in the offseason. The answers are right there in front of you. So I guess, and here's the other thing. Show me the team with the high-flying offense and a lockdown defense. Who is that? I don't know. If you can find them, I assume they're winning the Super Bowl. But this is how it works. And you chose, Andrew Berry chose, Kevin Stefanski chose to invest in the offense. And that payoff is clanging coins every time you pull the lever. So this is the world. And if you're just going to allow, I mean, the Titans got steamrolled by the Browns in the first half 2 weeks ago. That defense got rolled by the Browns. And the Titans are going to be the third seed in the playoffs. There are really good teams that have bad defenses. That's who the Browns are. They'll fix it in the offseason.
And I also think it's important to point out that this team still has pieces, right? I mean, Doug, you mentioned the Titans. You want to talk about a bad defense. I mean, they don't have anybody that can rush the passer. Browns have Myles Garrett. So you have a potential game changer in a playoff game on that defensive line. The Browns will eventually get Denzel Ward back. The Titans don't have a guy like that in their secondary. So the Browns have these pieces and these parts. And then going into next year, kind of like you mentioned, you'll get Grant Delpit back coming off that Achilles. We'll see how he looks. You'll have Ronnie Harrison. You might get Ronnie Harrison back this year. So you've kind of got your safeties. You've got a great edge rusher. You've got a potentially great corner. I mean, there's pieces here. The fixes for this defense are right there. And, I think Joe Woods certainly deserves a shot with more talent to show what he can do, because he coordinated a pretty good defense in Denver. We know that. We know he can do it.